Good evening. This is Attorney Vincent Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. This week again, we're missing our co-host, Terry Greenstein. Terry is still recovering from his medical issues, and we hope to have him back with us soon. Tonight, before we take any calls, several people have called and asked me questions about a couple things. Number one, can you get a different judge in your CPS or DCFS case? And the answer is yes. Now, the old rule was at the very first hearing, the detention hearing, you had to decide whether you're going to accept that judge or not. In California, you can file what's called a CCP 170.6 affidavit, and you have the right to automatically get a new judge immediately. Now, that rule has been modified by an appellate decision which says that you now can wait 10 days after the first hearing because no issue of fact has been made by that judge at the detention hearing. So if you go to a detention hearing and you're assigned to a specific judge, it might be important whether you're going to accept that judge or whether you're going to ask for a new judge. And if you do decide to go forward with that judge and, you get a bad feeling about what's happened at the detention hearing, you have 10 days to file that affidavit under 170.6 to get a new judge. Now, this is very important. It can be extremely important in the case. A case I did recently, I represented the father in the case. And the mother had a court-appointed attorney. And the court-appointed attorney told me or asked me right before the hearing, did you know that it was our judge who signed the warrant to detain the children from both the mother and father? And I hadn't gone through the detention package yet. And I said, no, but if that's correct, we might want to get a new judge. She concurred with me. And a 170.6 was filed. Now, I happened to be sitting in the courtroom for a few of the cases in the original courtroom, and I got the feeling that the judge, who I hadn't appeared in front of before, may have been a little bit conservative, may have been a little bit, leaning towards the department and protecting children, and I needed someone that I felt was more family or parent-oriented and less leaning towards the department. So we filed a 170.6 and we were assigned to another judge who it turned out to be very pro-family. This is done randomly. We don't get to pick who the judge is. And that judge listened to our case and luckily released the children to the father, my client. The mother couldn't live with the family because a lot of the allegations were against her. And that case, the children being with a family member or being with the parent versus being in a strange foster home, that makes all the difference in the world to begin the case. The leverage on the case is, it switches from the department or CPS having the advantage and the parent having the advantage, or at least being neutral and heads up going into the next hearing. So it's extremely important that you and your attorney talk about this. Do you want to keep this judge where your case has been originally assigned to, or do you want to transfer judges? Now, the bad part about it is you don't get to pick the judge that you are transferring to. So, sometimes you might get a selection that is not as advantageous as you were. And, sometimes, in the case that I was talking about, if one parent files the 170.6 and you end up in a place that you still don't like, the other parent has a 170.6 that he or she can file as well. So you kind of get two shots at the apple. So make sure you discuss at that first hearing with your attorney whether you want to keep this judge or whether you want to try for a different judge. There are a lot of risks and benefits in doing this, but it's something that at least should be considered at the beginning of the case. All right, let's take our first call. Our first call is from, is it Tamra in Sacramento? Tamra, this is attorney Vince Davis. Did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Oh gosh, kind of both the above. Is it always just the parents that are represented? Because I have a case where the CPS worker there was allegations against the mother, but they couldn't find the mother because she's never really been in their lives. Me, the grandparent, we've raised them most of their lives. Anyhow, they took them and they took me out of the court issue and put the mothers and the fathers, who have never really been in their lives, in the courts, and nobody's doing anything to comply with CPS. I actually had my partner it's her grandchildren, but I've helped her to raise them. They're my grandchildren too.
Well, let me ask you something. Is this case open right now in Sacramento County?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want you to get a pen and a piece of paper, and I'm going to give you some information that you probably will want to check out and do, okay?
Okay. Can I tell you I've gone through this? I've gone through the supervisor, ombudsman, and I don't know how many dozens and dozens of attorneys, and even the family law facilitator.
Well, it's a good thing you called me, because I'm going to tell you something that probably nobody's told you before, okay?
Probably not, because I can't get any information that I haven't already found for myself.
Okay, number one, to answer to your original question, the social worker is represented by the county council in California, okay? So they have an attorney. Each parent gets an attorney. The children get an attorney, and sometimes the children are represented by more than one attorney if they have a conflict among themselves. Now, in your particular case, since you're a grandparent, you don't automatically have standing. But one of the things that I've been doing, and they do this a lot in San Diego County, the grandparent who may have been the parent for all of these children gets to file a motion called, or a petition for presumed parent status. A few years ago, Governor Brown in the state legislature passed a law that said a child could have more than two parents. So in cases like this, where the parents weren't really raising the children, the grandparents step in, make a petition for presumed parent status, and they get to they get into the case and get the rights of a parent. Okay, so that's one of the things that you should consider, talk to a lawyer about, and talk about doing, so that you can get in there, you can get custody of the children, and and assert your own rights to the grandchildren. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so that's what I want you to do. By the way, just out of coincidence, next week I'm going to be in Sacramento County in a CPS case basically the whole week. So if you ever want to meet with me up at the courthouse during lunch or after court, call my office, which is 888-888-6582, and we'll make arrangements to meet for, lunch, dinner, or coffee. There's a Starbucks right across the street from that courthouse.
Yes, I know. Yes, I've been there.
Right.
I've been there plenty of times.
So, I could meet you there after court one day and talk about your case more in depth, okay?
Oh, my gosh, that'd be awesome. Do you have the form number for the presumed parent status?
To my knowledge, there isn't a form number that I can recall, but just Google it. Google California presumed parent status, and it'll take you to all the forms. Now let me tell you this, though, Tamara. You probably want to have the assistance of an attorney to help you fill that out.
I can't find an attorney. I've called umpteen zillions of attorneys. They either don't want to deal with fighting CPS, or they want an extravagant amount of money down payment.
Right.
Not that I can't afford to pay for one, but I mean, and there's only one that I've actually found, and they didn't tell me anything at the consultation other than what I'd already known. Mm-hmm. They didn't tell me anything about this, and then they told me that I'd have to have a second consultation, and then I'd have to have a $5,000 retainer.
Right. Okay. Well, listen, call me next week, make an appointment to see me while I'm up in Sacramento in trial, and maybe I can assist you, okay?
You're awesome. I will definitely do that. Thank you so much for your help.
And thank you for calling. All right, folks, my engineer is telling me we've got to take the first break of the evening to pay some bills. This is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more calls from the audience. Okay, this is Vince Davis. This is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. You know, during the break, I was looking at the screen there, and I want to remind our listeners all across the country and throughout the state of California that this show is also on Facebook Live. So go to Facebook, look up, search The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win, and you can see this show being live streamed all right on Facebook. And there was a comment on the page about Divana Frazier. She wrote that they are all unethical in cases in Maryland, committing fraud together, judges, attorneys, social workers, etc. The whole circuit court in Montgomery County, Maryland. Ms. Frazier, I want to tell you something that I told someone earlier today. Sometimes when you go to court, and if you don't know the rules, everything's going to seem unfair to you. You know, everyone has their own system or their own sense of justice within their heart and within their gut, and that's usually based upon their experiences, their beliefs, what other people have told them. And, you know, if you're 40 years old, you have 40 years of what your sense of justice is. But the real fact of the matter is that real justice is based upon laws, based upon appellate cases, based upon court rules. And there's very little similarity between real justice and your sense of justice. Maybe about 5% similarity. But by definition, that means you're probably 95% wrong. You know, when I was in law school, my first year of law school, one of my teachers told me something that was really disturbing to me and took me years to even accept it. And that was, she said, you know, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Well, you know, where I'm from, nobody knows what the law is. We have our own sense of justice, but nobody knows really what the law is. So if you go to court and you feel that your sense of justice is being ignored, you might want to look into learning or talking to an attorney about real justice. You know, I tell clients all the time, hey, do you want to win or do you want to be right? Because they're not the same thing. If you want to go to court, you want to beat CPS, you want to win, you want to get your children back, you know, you want to end up maybe suing the social worker for civil rights violations, you got to focus on what real justice. And a lot of times I see this not only with myself and my attorneys, but other attorneys in the courtroom. There's always a struggle between attorney and clients. Attorneys are trying to bring the client over to what real justice is, and clients are always trying to bring the attorney over to what their sense of justice is, and they're just not the same. So my suggestion, Ms. Frazier, is you find an attorney that you have a good sense of, you know, as a person and a human being, and talk to that attorney about real justice out there in Maryland and Montgomery County. Because I think you're going to be surprised. And I think if you can come to see his or her point of view, I think you're going to have more success in the courtroom. All right, let's take another question here from Adam from Los Angeles. Hey, Adam.
Hi, Vince.
Did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Kind of a story question. I fought the case for 4 years. I got my biological father to get guardianship in Washington State. He's in a whole other state.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, I still have parental rights.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now getting hate letters from my son, and he's getting brainwashed by my father. And I'm doing well. I work at a detox facility, so I'm drug free. I have my own place. How do I get back in there? Do I have to take it back to the juvenile court in Riverside?
Well, it depends. Is your case closed?
It is.
Do you know if your parents became The adoptive parents or the legal guardians?
Legal guardian.
Okay, so if you want to get back into court and try to get more visitation or even get custody back, you have to do one main
Right.
thing, and that is
Right.
you have to file what's called a 388 petition.
Okay.
Okay, so you can just Google 388 petition in California, and the form will come up. But here's the thing.
And that is.
Here's the thing. The judge gets to decide after you file the 388 whether you're going to get a hearing. The judge
Correct.
could decide, hey, no hearing for Adam. We're just
Yeah.
going to dismiss the case and, too bad, so sad. So
Yeah.
it becomes really important how you fill out that 388 petition. Now,
Correct.
the petition itself is about 4 pages, I think. But the petitions that we file are not only the 4 pages, but we add a lot of information and content to support that petition. And sometimes the petitions we file, I just looked at one the other day that was probably over 50 pages. Now, if you have 4 pages on the form, you might want to ask yourself, where's the other 46 pages? What's that? Well, it's evidence. It's declarations of witnesses.
Is it 388 the change of circumstances?
Yes, it is. And that's what you need to
Yeah.
change things when there's been a guardianship. But, you got to have the right evidence, all right? You got to have legal points and authorities. You got to have exhibits, maybe some videos, maybe some pictures. You have to give all of that evidence to the judge so that he or she can make a decision to give you a hearing. Now, once they make the decision to give you the hearing, that doesn't mean that you win and you get the kid back. But it means you have a chance to present this.
Now it's time.
I'm sorry?
Then you actually start the actual process.
Right. Exactly. It's the beginning of the process. So go ahead and talk to an attorney that can help you do a 388 so that when you do file it, there's a strong likelihood that the judge is going to give you a hearing. And then, there's a whole nother strategy for the hearing. I'm sorry?
Does your office do that?
We do. Call my office on Monday. Tomorrow's Sunday, so you got to call on Monday. And we will be able to assist you and consult with you. The number for that is 888-888-6582. 888-888-6582.
I've been listening to you for years, man.
Oh, Adam, great. Keep listening.
I listen to the tapes offline, like when the non-live ones. A lot of information in there.
Good, Adam. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Please keep listening, okay?
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to have to take a short break in a few minutes, but I want to address something to someone on our Facebook Live. Red Queen. Red, you've been apparently trying to get in touch with me at my office. I'll tell you what, if you email me your telephone number, I will call you this evening after the show. My email is v.davis@vincentwdavis.com, v.davis@vincentwdavis.com. So Red Queen on Facebook Live, please email me and I'll call you after the show. Okay, we're going to take another quick break. This is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. We're going to take another call from Sandy in Santa Monica.
Hello there.
Hi, Sandy. Did you have a story
Hi.
to tell or a question to ask?
A little of both. Let's make it quick. I got the father of my grandson was granted overnight visits for the first time last month. He's in a recovery program. But the problem is he's not returning my grandson on time so that I can have my visit with him. And my visits are being canceled and rescheduled repeatedly. And I'm not seeing my grandson, so I'm wondering, how do I work with this? Do I report this to the judge? Do I have to get a police report? How is this done?
Is the child placed with you or not placed with you?
No, he's placed in foster care, and the foster care providers have absolutely no other open time for me to be able to meet with them and pick up my grandson.
Okay, so this is what you have to do. Number one, to satisfy or to fix all of that, I would go after placement or custody of the child. You do that by filing a 388 petition. Number two, you can also get visitation at a different time with a different monitor other than the foster parents by filing that same type of 388 petition. You can Google that.
Okay.
You can see the form. There's another form.
Okay.
There's another form that you should look at, and you should type it in Google JV285, Joseph
Yes,
Victor
sir.
285, and you should also
Okay.
file that. Since you're the grandparent, I'd file also a de facto motion and
Yes.
get standing
So
in
can I stop you because I have filed all of those?
You have.
I just did. I just filed a de facto. I just filed the for the 388 petition, and I filed a statement regarding parentage, the JV 505.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this should be coming up in the 388 petition, correct?
Correct. Well, has the judge made a decision on any of these?
No, because I just turned them in last week after speaking to you last weekend.
Okay. Did you get a hearing date?
No, I have not gotten it yet.
Okay, so you got to get on the ball, call the clerk, and make sure that your motions and petitions are calendared for a date certain and time. Otherwise, they might just sit there in the box someplace on somebody's desk. So
now, my grandson has a hearing this Wednesday. Is there a possibility it could be merged into his hearing coming up?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and I would call the clerk of that courtroom to find out and request that. Now, here's how you get to the clerk of that courtroom. You dial 213-974-1234. That's the county number for the main operator for Los Angeles County. Then you tell them you would like to speak to the clerk in department whatever it is in Edmund D. Edelman's Children's Court in Monterey Park.
Department 421.
Okay, and they'll just transfer you, and you ask to speak to the clerk. Okay?
Okay, awesome.
Keep us posted,
That's
Sandy.
Great. I will say thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your information and help here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
I hope we have time for one more call before the break. So let's talk to Sara in Sacramento. Sara, did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Hi. I was just wondering, why does the dependency court refuse to separate the parents when it comes to terminating parental rights?
I'm not sure about your question.
Well, my son wasn't married to the mother of his kids,
Mm-hmm.
and she got the kids taken away,
Mm-hmm.
and they were both doing reunification services, and she just walked out of her program and took out the front door and took off. And now my son he's still doing his services,
Mm-hmm.
and he's trying to get his kids back.
Right.
But in the meantime, when she walked out the door, they were holding that against him, and we had to pay a lot of money to get them to listen to us to get him 6 more months.
Right.
But yet the mother is just screwing up and not doing what she's supposed to be doing. But they're not terminating. They didn't give her more services, but they're not terminating her rights. So they were saying if your son gets his, parental rights taken away, you won't be the grandparent no more. But yet the girlfriend of his can screw up, and the mother in another state gets visitations and all this, 2-week visit, and we're not getting anything.
Okay. Sara, did you hear me talk about real justice and your sense of justice earlier in the show?
Yes.
Okay, now, since you heard that, I want to tell you something, and I want you to take this to heart from a 31-year attorney, okay?
Okay.
Forget about the mother. She has nothing to do with whether your son gets his child back. Okay?
The only thing I'm afraid of is 3 years down the line, she'll just pop back in.
Okay, so, Sara,
Mm-hmm.
real justice, your sense of justice. I'm telling you right now, you and your son focus on getting him the child back and getting the case closed. What the mother may do in the future should be at this point in time irrelevant, and you shouldn't be considered about it. Okay?
Is there anything that you can suggest that my son do to secure his paternity stronger in the future once he gets his kids back?
Yeah, he's probably already been determined the presumed parent, and that's all he needs to secure his paternity rights in the future. If he's able to finish it and successfully complete his family reunification services, he should get the child back.
Okay.
Up there in Sacramento, it's kind of, the wild, wild west with these CPS workers. But, he should be able to get the child back. And I'm sure that you can help him. If you want to meet with me for a cup of coffee next week, because I'm in trial in Sacramento all next week, I'd be willing to do that. Just call my office, 888-888-6582. And Sarah, thank you for calling and keep listening. Somebody on Facebook Live wrote this comment. Me and my girlfriend just got the social worker's jurisdictional report. A lot of twisted wording and added opinions, all bad. We are very worried. Why does their word hold so much weight in court? It's a lot of opinions over facts. Jose, that's a very good question. Generally, judges believe that social workers are fair and honest. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. Sometimes it is. And it's one of the reasons why I advise clients not to meet alone with social workers, because they tend to, sometimes exaggerate, sometimes say something that's false, or say something that's false just by mistake. They have a lot of cases, and maybe sometimes they get things mixed up. I've seen social worker reports that have things cut and pasted about other families that didn't even pertain to my client and his family. So, you probably met with the social worker in good faith. What I would do is I would concentrate on talking to your attorneys, your respective attorneys, and making sure that these things are addressed at the time of trial, and that you bring forth proof to show that the social worker has twisted your words and has put in things that aren't true. So I hope that answers your question, Jose. All right. Do we have time for another call? Okay. We only have 2 minutes left. We probably don't have time for another full call. So on Facebook Live, Rosemary Hale from Florida says that there's no grandparents' rights in Florida. I know, Rosemary, that's not necessarily true, because I've talked to attorneys and people in Florida. In order for you to get your grandparents' rights instated or enforced, you probably should find an attorney locally in Florida who's going to be able to help you. And that's what I have to say for you, Rosemary. I was reading another comment on Facebook Live, Red Queen. How could they believe that when we clearly see all over the news social workers neglect? And that's from Red Queen again. Red, that is true in many, many cases. And I'm here to tell you, after being a lawyer for 31 years, it's not true in every case. There are a lot of good social workers, a lot of bad social workers. We tend to hear more about the bad than the good. So, I suggested something to you earlier, and I'm going to suggest it again. You have to find an attorney that you can trust or you can feel good with that's going to be able to help you. And I want you to listen to that attorney. Okay, quit, beating your head against the wall. You got to have some legal help, some top legal help. That's the only way that you're going to be able to get what you want. And I presume that in this case, it's that you want your children back. Okay, we're going to take a break now, our final break of the evening. This is Vincent Davis, and the show is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. I want to remind everyone that voting is coming up. Election day is coming up this coming week, and I want to make sure that everybody goes out and exercises their right to vote. If you don't exercise your right to vote, it's hard for you to come and complain about the system, especially the CPS system. In California, we elect our state legislators and state senators. They make the laws that are in the CPS in the courtroom, and the judges in California are either appointed or elected, and they interpret the laws, and if they may be pro-family, pro-department, pro-CPS, and if you think someone is not, a fair judge, you have the right to vote him or her out at election time. And if you vote for someone that's going to be a judge, you probably want to make sure that they're pro-family. For the next election, we're going to be doing a lot more with respect to supporting candidates here in California, both at the legislative and the judicial level, because I'm getting, so many complaints about people from all over California, from people about the laws, about the judges, about the this and that. So let's make some changes. Let's vote. That's the main power that you have here in your state. And I'm sure it's the same in all states across the country. So make sure that you register and that you're voting. Okay, let's take another call from Asia. She has a story to tell us. Asia, this is Attorney Vince Davis. Did you have a story to tell us? Go for it.
Yes. 10 years ago, my kids were taken into custody. My daughter, she was adopted out, and my son, he's a foster parent and waiting. He's in foster care, and my brother is going to adopt him. But they pretty much took my daughter into custody off of false allegations by saying that she was a child that was in need of care by the state of Louisiana because she had a broken and a fractured leg that he later on did not ever have or receive. Where the worker, well, better yet, it wasn't even the worker. It was the judge who said that she noticed my child having a flap in her walk, but my child was never, ever, walking or anything like that. So I have the paperwork right now showing from Children's Hospital where the x-rays were taken by the doctor, and it shows in the x-rays report where she never, ever had a broken leg or a fractured leg or anything that they're talking about. I went back up there to the court after finding out these details and the information. In the court, they said they couldn't do anything about it or help me or anything, that my kids are just gone and they're lost. Because I'm from California, and in order for the state of Louisiana to get jurisdiction over my son and my daughter, they had to put it as if that my daughter was in, real danger.
Mm-hmm.
She had to, be in danger, because that's what's in the handbook. They can't take any rights. They can't get jurisdiction over a kid, because I never did resign in Louisiana until all this took place. So I was down there, but I was kind of relocating, but I wasn't sure. So after all that took place, I pretty much had to move to Louisiana because I had to go to visitations, all types of stuff, anger management classes, everything. And so they did give me back my kids, but when they gave me back my kids, they turned around and they came back and they retook my kids, stating that I wasn't able to keep them out of harm's way and stuff like that, and that neighbors was calling into Child Protective Services saying that they noticed kids outside and stuff like that. So I have the police report where the police actually came out to my house, and he seen both kids in their room, in their bedroom, playing and everything. So he observed that, and they didn't do anything. They just took Child Protective Services' word, and I've been without my kid. And it's just crazy because right now, the attorney that I did have down there in Louisiana, he didn't practice family law or anything like that. He was a criminal attorney, so he really didn't know the proper proceedings with the family law. So, he was of some help where he was able to put his signature and stuff on the paperwork. But as for really digging down to it.
Well, Asia, hold on a second. What part of Louisiana was your case in?
My case was in Metairie, which is Jefferson Parish.
Okay, so I'm very familiar with Metairie. I have relatives in Slidell.
Yes, yes, we do too.
What you need to do is you need to contact an attorney from Orleans Parish or from Jefferson Parish and try to talk to them so that they can help you correct the situation. If what you're telling me is right, I suspect under Louisiana law there are some issues or some things that you can do to try to correct the situation. Okay, but I'm
Yeah.
licensed here in California. I'm not licensed in Louisiana. I have done other cases in other states on what they call pro hoc vice basis, but it sounds like you need someone to talk to. You might want to call the local bar association and see if they can refer you to an attorney at a low or no cost, interview, or where you can meet with them in an initial consultation.
See, that's the thing down there in Louisiana. Like, everyone down there in Louisiana, like, Louisiana is known to be adoption capital. Like, they bring other women from other parts of the country and just to sign them up with Louisiana addresses and give them insurance where they're able to have kids and stuff like that, surrogation and everything, and then just have kids and adopt them on. Louisiana is known for adoption. So when it comes to going against Child Protective Services or adoption agencies there in the state of Louisiana, no one's in favor of doing that. Because I actually had a whistleblower who helped me out with getting me my case file from Louisiana, which the judge in the courthouse is not trying to give me whatsoever, but she gave it to me. She gave me the file, and it's very disturbing what's in that file. And the thing is, she was an attorney herself. But
one of the things you should do is take your file and find a civil rights attorney, because if what you're telling me is true, it sounds like someone has violated your civil rights, and you might have a case where you might be able to correct this and help people in the future. Is that something you've considered?
Yes, and it's so hard because I try to find a civil rights attorney in Louisiana.
I'm going to give you a name.
Yes, please give me your name.
Okay, I'm part of an organization called the Jerry Spence Trial Lawyers College, and there's an excellent attorney there by the name of, I think his name is Jim or James Clary, Clarey, and he's down there in Louisiana. I don't know if he's in Jefferson. He's not in Orleans Parish, and I don't know if he's in Jefferson Parish or not, but I'm sure that you can find him on the internet. Try to find him and call him and make an appointment. Tell him that I referred you to him and see if he can help you out. He's an excellent attorney. If anyone down there in Louisiana can help you, it will be him. Okay, Asia?
Yes.
Thank you.
Because I spoke with a caseworker, and she told me I had a file. She told me that I have a case against them, that they cannot do any of that.
We'll find Jim or James Clary and tell him I sent you. Asia, thank you for listening. I appreciate it very much. Keep listening in the future, okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All righty. We're running out of time. I just want to remind everyone, you can watch this show on Facebook Live, The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. And you can call me if you'd like during the week, 888-888-6582, 888-888-6582. And you can watch me on my YouTube channel, Vincent Davis, Attorney at Law, and also my website, fightchildprotectiveservices.com. I want to thank everybody for listening this evening, and we'll see you next week on the radio.